At the break of dawn, Iman arrived at the bank, where he worked as a cashier despite lacking formal education. His prestigious job came with a modest salary of 2,000 rings, barely enough to cover his expenses. His thoughts were interrupted by a familiar elderly lady, a regular client, who handed him a bag full of 1-cent coins for exchange. Iman tried to explain that the bank didn't accept such small change, but Mr. Raza, the bank's administrator, intervened, instructing Iman to take the coins and apologize to the lady. This incident soured Iman's mood, prompting him to take a break and have coffee with his friend Inton, the head of the computer security department. Inton, Iman's childhood friend, couldn't join him immediately as her boss Irene informed her of another system breach. She asked Iman for help, recalling his knack for computers since school. Iman discovered a sophisticated program called Digital Karma in the system, which was challenging to remove. After a few minutes, he successfully cleared the malicious software, safeguarding the bank's clients' money. Inton thanked him, but Iman couldn't muster the courage to confess his feelings for her. He even made the mistake of offering her a latte, forgetting she disliked coffee with milk. That evening, Iman faced another ordeal. He barely made it home, clutching his stomach, only to find the toilet occupied by his father. The old man leisurely exited the restroom, and as Iman found relief, his father shared news of his new business venture. He had spent his last money on black cumin tablets, believing they could save lives. The old man promised Iman he would sell all the tablets soon and repay the money meant for the apartment rent. They quarreled, and Iman retreated to his room. But a few minutes later, he heard a strange noise. Rushing back, he found his father unconscious on the floor. Inton arrived at the hospital to support Iman. The doctors informed him that his father had suffered a heart attack and needed surgery costing 60,000 rings, a sum Iman didn't have. Desperate, Iman asked his boss for a loan, but Mr. Raza refused, even declining to put Iman on staff, which would have slightly increased his salary. Visiting his father that evening, Iman felt lost, unsure how to save him. The situation worsened when his father's old friends, local gangsters, confronted him, revealing that his father had borrowed money from them. They gave Iman 2 days to repay the debt. Iman arrived at work with a noticeable bruise on his face, surprising his colleagues. His day took another unexpected turn when a new employee, Ashley, joined the department and showed interest in Inton. Struggling to focus, Iman was preoccupied with thoughts of his father's debt and how to save him. The troublesome elderly lady returned, this time complaining about a 1-cent service charge deduction from her account. Her outburst sparked a brilliant idea in Iman's mind. He could steal 1 cent from each account, amassing enough money to repay the gangsters and save his father. Iman spent the entire night crafting a malicious program to execute his plan. He disguised the virus in an email and sent it to Mr. Raza's inbox, hoping to infiltrate the bank's system. When his boss opened the file, the program spread to all the bank's computers. A system reboot initiated by Inton to fix the errors inadvertently helped the virus gain access to the accounts. Finally, Iman managed to withdraw 1 cent from each account and transfer the money to an old abandoned account. However, Iman's joy was short-lived. The creditors appeared, forcing him to escape through a window. The gangsters chased him, but he managed to get into a stranger's car. For a hefty sum, he asked the driver to take him to a bank on the other side of the city. During the ride, Iman transferred the money to an account from which he could withdraw 90,000 rings. The gangsters pursued the car, but for an additional fee, the driver agreed to participate in the chase. Finally, he delivered Iman to the bank branch, where the 1-cent thief calmly withdrew the money. Iman handed the required amount to the gangsters and paid the taxi driver the promised bonus. Exhausted, he collapsed on the ground, realizing there was no turning back. He took the remaining money to the hospital to pay for his father's surgery. The next day, Iman arrived at work with a joyful smile, unaware that his troubles were just beginning. In the evening, he visited his father and reflected on the fact that he would do the same again to save him. Meanwhile, on the outskirts of the city, the gangsters killed Mr. Raza. Iman started having nightmares but reassured himself that they were just his imagination. He spent his free time with his father, hoping that the stolen money wasn't in vain and that he could save the old man's life. The bank discovered the theft, but initially, the management didn't want to report it to the police to avoid panic. Things became much more serious when the bank learned about Raza's death. Everyone became scared, but Iman was especially frightened, convinced that his boss's tragedy was a result of his robbery. Uru, the head of security, appeared in the office and ordered the employees to stay at their workstations until the police arrived and to tell the officers everything they knew about the incident. Iman tried to remain calm, but when he remembered the email he sent to Raza's computer, it became clear he needed to act. Overwhelmed with anxiety, the clerk felt sick and ran to the bathroom to relieve some stress. There, Iman met another employee who had access to the restricted floor. He stole a protective film from the colleague's smartphone and used it to forge a fingerprint. Disguised in a janitor's uniform, Iman sneaked to the required floor. First, he broke into the administration office, deleted the camera recordings, and prepared a path to access the server room. In a bustling office, Iman cleverly enters Ashley's name into the system, hoping to dodge an unwanted suitor. As he tries to erase his tracks, the head of security summons Intan and Ashley for a chat. Meanwhile, a strange noise catches an employee's attention, but Iman stays hidden. Intan discovers an unexpected system update, alerting everyone that the culprit is inside the building. The police begin their search and Iman, though panicked, starts working in the server room. Zeru gets a notification about someone using Ashley's card to enter the server room. The head of security restricts the young man from leaving, while others rush to find the intruder. Iman deletes the file just in time, but nearly gets caught by a security guard in the hallway. The guard, not recognizing him, returns a fallen protective film. Iman quickly changes out of the janitor's uniform and returns to his desk, pretending to pick up a dropped pen when Zeru checks the empty workstation. Zeru questions Intan about potential hackers, and she realizes only Iman has the skills. Iman tries to stay calm, convinced no one will discover his actions. Terror strikes again when his friend asks him to check the server room access log, but Iman convinces him he never left his desk. He tells his friend about a surgery supposedly funded by his father's relatives. That evening, Iman visits his father in the hospital, relieved that the old man is recovering. The doctor informs him of additional costs, and Iman realizes he can't get the money the same way again. Despite the virus being removed and the police monitoring the bank, he decides to risk the 1-cent theft trick at other banks. This time, he's more cautious, fearing exposure, but his father's situation leaves him no choice. After a few hours, his account holds 800,000 rings. 2 weeks later, Intan continues her search for the culprit. She checks the server with Ash's help, but doesn't trust him and decides to work alone. Irene replaces Intan with Ash, upsetting her. She returns to her desk and learns her subordinate recovered some surveillance footage. In one recording, Intan recognizes Iman. The young man buys an expensive car and moves his father to a luxurious apartment. The old man, aware of the dishonest source of the money, pretends not to notice. Their peace is short-lived when Devon and his henchmen arrive, rudely eating the dinner Iman prepared. The old man, remembering past thugs, feels helpless as his son is mocked. Intan reviews the footage again but keeps it from Ash. When Ash visits her about her suspension, he reveals he already knows about the footage. Iman concocts a tale about his newfound wealth, but Devon, sharp as a tack, sees through the ruse. With a hammer in hand, the gangster persuades Iman to spill the truth. Meanwhile, Ashley gathers a team to piece together the events of the day. The server data vanished. Intan joins in, keeping her sighting of Iman a secret, but vowing to help solve the mystery. Iman reminisces about his impoverished childhood, where his father struggled to make ends meet and only dreamed of phones. As Intan collects more incriminating evidence, Iman is forced to confess his scheme to Devon. The gangster gives him no choice but to transfer the stolen funds. When his father regains consciousness and tries to scold him, Iman reminds him of their destitute past, filled with hunger and parental disputes. Devon's crew luxuriates by the pool, enjoying the skyscraper views, while using Iman as their servant. Desperate, Iman attempts to steal a gun from the thugs, but his lack of knowledge about firearms leads to failure. The robbers punish him harshly, and his father once again watches in silence. Iman recalls his mother leaving without a goodbye hug, mentally preparing to bid life farewell. But his father finally musters the courage to point the gun at the bandit's temple. Ashley discovers that Intan deleted a file her colleague had given her. When asked if she needs help, Intan assures him she has no secrets. In reality, she finds more footage clearly showing Iman's face. Iman and his father manage to escape, but the robbers catch up in the parking lot, opening fire. They barely reach their car and drive away, but the chase continues on the dark roads. Iman's car runs out of gas, forcing them to hide in the city's narrow streets. The old man's heart begins to fail, and Iman has to leave him behind to avoid capture. Intan, haunted by memories of her own past crimes and teaching Iman to break the law, struggles with guilt. Her situation worsens when her mother mother demands money and asks her not to visit. Iman calls Intan, asking her to meet at an abandoned construction site. Finding him in a dire state, Intan takes him to her place. Meanwhile, in his lair, Devon feeds his frail father, relishing the old man's suffering. A cruel reminder of past grievances. Iman's father, observing the scene from a distance, realizes the dire situation as the bandit mistreats him. Iman, meanwhile, takes a shower, trying to clean up and deal with his knocked-out teeth. Intan, hearing the water running, attempts to check Iman's computer, but is interrupted when he exits the bathroom and takes the laptop. She demands answers, but Iman insists he just had a fall and refuses to discuss his problems. Devon sends a video message using a hammer to coerce Iman into coming for his father. Intan faces issues as Ash informs her that Irene wants all the video files, including the deleted ones, sent to the office. While Intan is distracted, Iman escapes, realizing he needs help. Iman descends into the city's underworld, meeting the driver from his first heist. The drug dealer, unhappy with Iman's request for help, punishes him and refuses payment. Ash covers for Intan, telling Irene the videos were damaged. Intan thanks Ash, but he insists on knowing the truth. Iman witnesses an attack on a cafe and is approached by an old friend who offers help. The friend demands a down payment and tells Iman about Ibu Zara, a dangerous criminal. Ibu Zara, recalling her own traumatic childhood, vows to protect a little girl from harm. Devon, furious at his men for letting Iman escape, punishes them. Iman's father, barely surviving, hears his son's voice, giving him strength. The blonde friend arranges a meeting with Ibu Zara, and Iman promises her any amount of money to save his father. He transfers the first payment, but Ibu Zara refuses to deal with Devon and kicks Iman out of the car. Intan, after watching the video multiple times, decides to tell Ash everything. She reveals that Iman is hiding the truth, but Ash discovers that Irene also tried to delete data, implicating her in the bank scams. Determined, Iman returns to his old contact, pleading for assistance once more. He promises a hefty reward, and the dealer finally agrees. The duo sneaks into Devon's hideout, finding Iman's father, but their escape is thwarted as Devon and his men enter, ready to assert their dominance. Suddenly, armed men burst in, sparking a chaotic shootout. Seizing the moment, Iman and his friend attempt to flee with the old man, but Devon refuses to let them go. A shot rings out from the corner, and Devon collapses. Iman sees Ibu Zara, smiling triumphantly. Though free from one threat, Iman realizes he's now in the clutches of a more formidable foe. Iman, overwhelmed by the chaos, suffers a breakdown. His friend quickly whisks him and his father away to avoid police capture. From a young age, Iman excelled with computers, a talent Intan always admired. Now it haunts her as she dozes off in Ash's apartment. Ash prepares breakfast, suggesting they continue discussing the situation, but first, he wants to know more about her. The shootout at Devon's lair makes the news, and Iman realizes the gravity of his predicament. A knock on the door confirms his fears. An associate of Ibu Zara demands his presence. Intan discovers Iman paid for his father's surgery at a private clinic, puzzled by how he obtained the money. She and Ash investigate Irene's computer activities, checking logs for her authorization. Iman is taken to Ibu Zara's mansion, where she records an interview about her charitable work, helping single mothers and abandoned children. She asks Iman to unzip her dress, revealing a scar from her past. Iman tries to understand her intentions, but she remains cryptic, taking him to the city center to discuss life's injustices and offering him a job. Realizing he has no choice, Iman accepts, knowing refusal means facing her enemy's fate. Intan tries to uncover who paid for the surgery but is stonewalled. While she talks to the administrator, Ash finds access blocked everywhere, meaning they must check all servers for answers. Ibu Zara hires Iman, demanding half his earnings. He sees this as his best option until a black jeep arrives and unknown assailants abduct him. This time the police take him, demanding he betray Ibu Zara. Iman insists he's just a volunteer, but the officers don't believe him and decide to force a confession. Unaware of his son's plight, Iman's father packs to flee but is interrupted by a call from Intan, who plans to visit. Iman resists the police's pressure and they dump him on the city's outskirts. As soon as Iman regains consciousness, his father urgently calls him to the old apartment. The old man arrives just as Ash and Intan show up. The host tries to distract them with talk of marrying off his son, but when Iman arrives, it's clear marriage is the last thing on his mind. Iman fabricates a story about falling, but his friends don't buy it, just as they didn't believe the tale about distant relatives paying for his father's surgery. Intan shows Iman the surveillance footage, but he brushes it off with another excuse, deeply disappointing Intan, who has trusted him since childhood. Iman and his father head to the station buying tickets to another city. However, Iman notices he's being followed and decides to postpone the trip, trying to figure out how he was tracked. He suspects Intan and decides to frame a colleague whose fingerprint he stole during the robbery. He sends a virus-laden email to Shad, who opens it, finding a message about a vacation and 2 resort tickets, supposedly from the bank's management. Iman hacks into Shad's computers and plants evidence on his desk, including a card in Ash's name used to access the server room. Intan finds Ash in her office, who explains he had to take her computer to restore data. They are then called to the hall, where another hacking attempt is occurring from Shad's computer. Despite all precautions, Intan suspects Iman, but the trail leads to another employee. The security service arrests Shad, shifting all suspicion to him. Despite his success, Iman feels guilty and tries to cope with the stress, but familiar cops take him for questioning again. The story repeats, but Iman doesn't give up, insisting he knows nothing about Ibu Zara's criminal activities and won't testify against her. Zara enters the cell, revealing it was a loyalty test. Iman recalls his first scams as a child, creating free transit passes with an adult acquaintance. Intan helped him back then, happy to participate in secret operations. Money was always the main issue. Iman's mother left for a wealthy friend, while Intan's parents were never home, always working. One day Intan visited Iman's mother, who refused to come out, not needing her son. Intan, always worried about Iman, and now comes to apologize. They talk, and Iman confesses he's leaving the bank, claiming to have a job as a web developer. In reality, he starts working for Zara, siphoning 1 cent from various banks weekly, keeping half the profits. He withdraws small amounts of cash, hiding them at home. Iman's behavior worries his father, leading to arguments. Iman accuses his father of never thinking about the family. Meanwhile, Intan's relationship with Ash improves. They have dinner together and spend a lot of time together. A strange old man appears at Iman's apartment entrance, adding another layer of mystery to the unfolding drama. When Iman tries to find out what the stranger wants, he is suddenly attacked. In the office, Intan approaches Ash to greet him, but he quickly closes his computer. She doesn't notice because she's asked to check information about an inactive account with a large sum transferred to it. Years ago, investigating Intan and Ash discover the 1 cent theft from every account in their bank, but it's been 2 months, making it hard to find the culprit. Inspecting her factory, Zara calls Iman, warning him that the old man in the hallway is a guard assigned to protect him and his father. She also demands $10 million from him. Iman calculates his options and realizes he can't withdraw 1 cent more frequently. He decides to return to his bank and increase the commission amount. While Intan and Ash check the computers, a glitch occurs, and Intan suspects someone is trying to access the system again. The TV announces that the Digital Karma Group, responsible for multiple bank attacks, is involved. Iman tries to mend his relationship with his father, and during dinner, they joke and laugh. Suddenly, screams come from the hallway, and Iman goes to check. He sees his old friend, the blonde, and asks the old man to step aside so his friend can visit. The blonde becomes Iman's assistant in the new heist. As thanks, Iman takes his friend and father shopping. They buy expensive suits, watches, and a high-speed luxury car, heading to town for fun before the risky mission. Meanwhile, Intan and Ash find a way to connect to the account through which the thief transfers money. Iman calls the bank and arranges a cash withdrawal. Everything goes smoothly at first, but Iman is distracted by his father's shout, unhappy with the blonde's presence. Iman breaks up the argument and asks his friend to join him for the illegal transaction. Instead of a bank, they arrive at a nightclub where the blonde offers Iman a pink pill. They have a great time with girls, dancing and playing cards. For the first time, Iman indulges himself, enjoying his wealth. This gives him courage, and he starts a fight, no longer wanting to be a victim. He throws money around, feeling like a hero, until he sees Zara before his eyes. Ash brings Intan home and promises to monitor the account to catch the thief, but Iman is too unwell to return to work. After recovering, Iman invites Intan to meet. He arrives in a beautiful suit with a rose, but the second gift, a card they forged together as children, impresses her more. Iman confesses his love, but Intan doesn't reciprocate. She leaves the rose and walks away, leaving Iman feeling devastated. He returns to the club, deciding to party without thinking about Intan. In the morning, 2 unfamiliar girls wake up next to him. Iman's father tries to talk sense into him, urging him to return to a normal life. But Iman believes that only through his risky endeavors will he gain respect and bring his mother back to the family. Intan visits Ash and confides in him about her conversation with Iman. She admits she rejected Iman because she loves Ash. Ash, pleased but conflicted, reveals he isn't who he pretends to be, and they can't be together. Intan leaves, but Ash tries to catch up and explain. Meanwhile, Iman's father, against doctor's orders, sneaks a cigarette. Iman arrives at his mother's house flaunting his expensive car. Ash doesn't get the chance to reveal his secret to Intan as a motorcycle appears and bullets hit him. Iman gifts his mother a necklace, asking her to return home, promising a life free from poverty. She confesses she didn't leave because of money but refuses to explain further, choosing to stay with her new son. Intan gives a statement to the police and learns someone rummaged through Ash's apartment while he was chasing her. Iman hears about Ash's assassination attempt on the news and recognizes one of Zara's henchmen. Confronting Zara, she admits Ash discovered their scheme, forcing them to eliminate him. Iman declares he no longer wants to work for Zara, but she hints his departure could endanger Intan. Irene visits Intan, suggesting she take a few days off and probing for any secrets Ash might have shared. Irene insists Ash was the thief, downloading personal data and executing criminal schemes. Iman feels compelled to warn Intan, knowing Zara has an insider at the bank. The blonde friend tries to dissuade Iman, but he insists he will destroy Zara if necessary. A nurse informs someone that Ash is alive and orders him to be handed over to the right people. Zara gives a suitcase of money to a minister, seeking support for her election bid. The official dismisses her, making it clear she won't take his place. Iman packs his savings into a bag and leaves without explaining to his father. The police prevent Intan from entering Ash's ward, informing her he has disappeared. On her way home, she notices the motorcyclist who attacked Ash. A notification on her colleague's phone reveals the hacker's IP address. The blonde takes Iman to an abandoned place where they come under fire. They are invited inside to meet Deon's gang. Iman is rewarded for Devon's death, and the bag of money calms the men. He asks for their help to get rid of Ibu Zara. The navigator leads Intan to Iman's house, where a strange old man tries to take her bag. Iman's father intervenes, ordering the guard to let her in. Intan asks the old man how they got rich and what happened to Iman. Inspecting his computer, she realizes he is the thief. Meanwhile, the minister gives a speech, blaming the hacks on digital karma. Iman plans to eliminate Zara and returns to the computer cafe to execute his plan. Returning to his childhood haunt, Iman is found by Intan, who reveals she knows the truth about his job. This drives Iman into a frenzy, and he lashes out at his father for letting her in. Intan confides in Irene, who promises to take action and urges her to report to the police. However, once Intan leaves, Irene informs Zara. Iman rents a hotel room for his father, buying a train ticket and instructing him to leave if he doesn't hear from him by a certain time the next day. They part ways, knowing they might never see each other again. Intan brings the police to the server room while Iman and his group prepare to confront Zara. They arrive at the cafe where Zara is dining, but the blonde betrays them, resulting in the deaths of all the henchmen except Iman. The blonde drags Iman to Zara's house, punishing him for his betrayal. Worse news follows as the media reports on Iman's scams, revealing Intan's betrayal. Zara demands Iman teach her his siphoning scheme, using a bag of rats as leverage. After he complies, the blonde is ordered to eliminate him. Iman escapes, and during the chase, the killer is accidentally hit by a car. Intan follows Zara's trail, realizing who is behind everything. Zara, not wasting time, blackmails a minister by revealing his underage companion, forcing him to relinquish his position to her. Iman hides at his mother's house, where she confesses she missed him. Learning of Zara's political ambitions, Iman decides to stop her. Intan digs deeper into Zara's transactions but is captured by henchmen and taken to Irene, realizing everyone was in on it. Intan bursts into the bank, ordering everyone to the floor. Hearing this, Iman rushes to help, but Irene won't let her go easily. Iman's father waits at the station, learning about the events from the news. A SWAT team arrives at the bank as Iman heads to the server room to delete the virus and gather evidence. Intan points a machine gun at him, but Iman apologizes and asks her to call the police, ready to surrender. The police bring Iman's father, who pleads with his son not to do anything foolish. Moved by his father's words, Intan allows Iman to delete the virus and download evidence against Zara. One of Zara's henchmen tries to kill Iman before the police arrive, but Intan intervenes, and Iman shields her from the bullet. Iman is taken to the hospital, but his father and Intan are not allowed to accompany him. News of Zara's crimes hits the screens, and it's reported that the ambulance carrying Iman has disappeared. Iman awakens in the serene haven of the digital karma camp, feeling a profound sense of safety. He is warmly welcomed by Ash, the compassionate leader of the camp.